Okay.
Yes, you still have to take minutes and send them to Betsy.
Okay, thank you. So it's Pam, Bill, Josh, Drew, Christina, Jill.
You have to record, Josh?
Yes, I have to record, and we are recording right now. This is the LNA meeting on Tuesday, September 29th at 9:40 p.m., immediately following the full LNA meeting. Drew, are you good to go? You know who's in?
Pam, Bill, Josh, Drew, Christina, Jill.
Okay.
Karen's not
Jill, you're
here.
on. I didn't hear you.
I don't think Jill's
Are you on, Jill?
I'm on.
Okay, great.
Hello?
Okay.
So
Jill's
Pam,
on.
Bill,
Yep.
Pam, Bill, Josh, Drew, Christina, Jill.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move through this. The first item is the Darren Raymond Locke appointment to the as an alternate to the Historic District Commission. Can I have a motion?
I'll move. Jill.
And a second?
Bill.
Second.
Okay.
seconded,
Any
Jill?
discussion?
Bill?
Oh, Christine,
Bill.
sorry.
Christina.
Anyone
Okay,
else?
thank you.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
He seems great.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
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 Any
Hi.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. Next we have for Solid Waste and Recycling Commission, Timothy Besler. Sorry. Do I have a motion?
Bill.
Drew.
I think that was a motion and a second. Any
Yep.
discussion on this one?
Is Bill the motion or am I the motion?
Bill and Drew.
Doesn't matter
Drew
to me.
second.
Okay.
Let's just roll it along.
Any discussion on this one? All those in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimous. Next up, we have the SEEP grants for $128 and change for the downtown sidewalks and improvements. Do I have a motion?
Representative Iacono, so moved.
A second?
Second. Christine.
Christine?
Thank you. Any
Okay.
conversation on this one? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, another unanimous vote. Now we have the Quincy Street purchase. Do I have a motion?
Drew.
Representative Iacono, so moved.
And a second?
Drew.
Okay. Any discussion on this one? All those in favor?
I am concerned about some
Okay.
of the flood risks, and because I think that was an aspect of what happened with people and not being able to hold on to their property, and it just became too financially disabling with the flood insurance going up. So I spoke to Mark, and he answered a lot of my questions, but he didn't really fully answer how that would be fixed when they do this. But I want to give him the space. It seems like a good opportunity. If we don't let him buy it now, he loses that, and it's good because he can just sell it right back if it doesn't work out the way that they'd like. So it seems like there's very little risk. So, but I have that lingering question about, just the viability in that area with the flood insurance.
Jill, Representative Iacono, Jill, I agree with you completely. Personally, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I don't think this is going to work out. But I think he should have an opportunity to try and see if he can find a partner and see if they can figure something out. I'm not overly optimistic that it's going to succeed.
May I ask Pam and Jill a question? Yeah. So you're saying you don't think he'll be able to redevelop it to meet, to the height, levels required and all that? Is that what you're saying?
I think that's part of it. I think you're going to have a really hard time finding somebody to be able to do that with the constraints of a flood zone. And then to Jill's point, I think, it'll lower your – don't you still need to have some type of flood insurance if you live in a flood zone?
Yeah,
so, I mean, those are two right there barriers to entry. Unfortunately for us, is the problem in all of Fairfield is everywhere we want to have affordable housing ends up not being in a properly master planned out development. Does that make sense?
So this is Representative Georgiadis. I'm sure those houses already have flood insurance because they'd be required to, and instead of a non-compliant house paying $300 to $3,500 a year, a compliant house would be paying $500 a year. So that's what's happened since Hurricane Sandy, and that's how the flood insurance has gone when you go from non-compliant, which they are now, to compliant. So the people in those houses are paying insurance currently.
So, is the concern that if it's non-compliant, then it can't be affordable?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Well, they're currently non-compliant, though, right?
Right, and they're having trouble being able to afford to stay in their homes.
Right.
Right. I've run into that with constituents who live in Cape.
Listen, I think they should try. I personally am not. I hope it works out. That's just my personal thought. I think it's a heavy lift. No pun intended.
So if it doesn't work out, it's going to end up in a huge development.
If it doesn't work out, we just end up right back where we were. So to Jill's point, and I agree with her, no harm, no foul. Except we've tied up some of our money for a year, but that's okay.
Right.
I'm in favor of it. I'm just not optimistic that it's going to work out. I hope I'm wrong.
No, well, they couldn't finance it last time, so you're probably right.
Are we ready for a vote?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that was unanimous as well. And that brings us to the last item, the early retirement package. I wish Karen was able to join us because I'm really not clear on the process here. I think Brenda raised a good question, which is if it refers to us, doesn't it have to go back to committees of the RTM?
Well, I didn't want to step on her toes. I only asked for it to come to us to discuss portions of the contract that should be discussed in executive session. I didn't ask for it to come to us for consideration. So my ask was to discuss elements of the contract. I asked to go into an executive session.
Right. So I think the clarification that maybe you and I or all of us could reflect on with Karen is this was not really a referral. This was just a request for a side meeting to address some side questions that were not even raised at the main meeting, and that it shouldn't get in the way of the process, I guess. I don't really know.
Correct. That was my intention, Josh.
But can you explain, so what if we learn things in that executive session and then have doubts or issues? How does that... Then
you just raise them on the floor. But, I mean, I can't say it now because there are certain elements that they are offering in that contract, the terms of which I would like to understand why those were made, because they seem very expensive.
It's a very sweet deal. And, I do want to have a better understanding of what that end goal is, and they seem very hesitant to map out any kind of plan in an open meeting. So I think an executive session gives an opportunity to maybe hear what that plan is.
And I think if they're able to explain to us in executive session the intricacies of the decision-making process, then there will be elements that we will be able to go out and discuss in public. It's just the fine details that we will have to keep in confidence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, hopefully.
If I was, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, as of now, I have no grasp of why this is being done. I can only guess. And normally when you see a buyout, it's because you want to reduce headcount. This doesn't sound, just because they put in, the 401k, assuming, 100% replacement of the 55 people, doesn't sound like there's a plan to reduce headcount. So a plan to reduce salaries, and hopefully reduce risk, with the 401a or whatever, instead of the pension. That's something, I guess. But, that's pretty fluffy considering you don't know what it's going to cost to replace the people. The fact that, maybe there are certain people that don't have the skill set that you would like, and you'd like maybe people with maybe fresher skills, that's a risk because you don't know who's going to take the buyout. So, it would be nice to hear a little bit more about why they're doing this, because it's not obvious to me.
Yeah.
But
we're talking like $2 to $3 million.
If we use the LNA meeting as a chance to ask these questions, then it is being referred to us, and so it really should go back to the full RTM for the other committees to have a chance to hear it, because if it's just that's different than if it's just that one or more of our members have specific questions that they don't feel comfortable asking in public session. So I think we have to be careful of how we proceed, or at least thoughtful about, do we want to refer this to LNA, or do we not want to refer this to LNA? And do we want to, and how do we want to do this? And I wish Karen was able to join us, but I will talk to her tomorrow. But I'm not really sure what she wants to do with that. And that will affect, if we don't refer it to LNA and it's just to answer some specific questions that are not appropriate for public, then, Bill, you can't really ask those questions, or you can, but they won't get back to the floor. It's weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Well, but you know what, Josh? He can ask the question of what's appropriate to ask in public and what's not.
Yeah. Are we going to – yeah, okay.
The alternative, we start asking questions in public and this just gets messy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm concerned too that the message is clear to the administration that we still want the answers to the questions that were asked tonight, that the LNA is not instead of answering those questions. And I think they heard that, but I hope they did.
Well, Karen needs to reiterate that. And since I was the one who asked for the executive session, I'd be happy to clarify that all those other answers still need to be presented.
Yeah. So maybe
people are probably going to. People are probably going to send all the other questions in, right, and during the week, I would hope.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. Are the verbal questions enough, or do we have to put them in writing? I mean, I think there's a lot to be figured out here. I think several of us should talk to Karen, and she should put out an email to everybody, basically saying, here's what we need. These are the questions. I don't know. There's a lot to be processed before Monday. And I believe, I don't remember what the delay is, but we have to notice our LNA meeting, so we'd have to
decide right now that we want to meet on Thursday. Listen, if you guys don't want to meet in executive session, we don't have to meet in executive session. I was just looking for a way to get this offline to ask some tough questions.
Yeah, I'm not saying that at all.
I think it's a pragmatic solution.
Yeah, I'm not saying that at all. Yeah.
But I also want you to know that I didn't do it procedurally to screw everything up and hold anything up. That was not my intent at all.
Yeah. I, for one,
does anyone have a sense?
That's okay.
I didn't follow this through the Board of Finance. Does anyone know, did they go into executive session on this,
They haven't met on it.
They didn't go to Board of Finance.
Oh, they haven't.
It doesn't have to go to them.
It's technically by statute contract language changes. That's why it's coming to us.
Not
money?
The money. Yeah, the money.
The money is, yeah.
But they don't have to go to Board of Finance to ask for the money? I mean, there's a cost.
I know. So
Actually,
there's a discussion to be had of whether or not we want the Board of Finance's opinion.
I mean, there's $1 million that's going to need to be, depending on who, it's $2 million if you're Bill and 1.4 or whatever number the other guy has. I mean, there's a large dollar number to be figured out in the next couple months.
I agree. And Bill, I got the same number you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really disappointing that the guy didn't freaking present the number. To be honest, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. That should have been the lead. And the back end money,
it's
like
not
Jill brought up.
well.
I could not follow that spreadsheet. Like, they need to total it all out for us.
And we can haircut it by whatever, because he doesn't know how many people are going to accept it. So we don't really need him to do everything at 50% when it's not going to be 50%. It'll be something else. So.
So I believe there's also an opportunity for a special RTM meeting, right? And that might be the solution to getting this done, or giving it a chance to get done. If it's,
I mean, I do think we should commit to working with administration so that they can achieve their goal of getting this done for the budget, if that's what the body ultimately decides they want as well. I don't want to hold them up so that they can't get it done in time for budget. I'm not looking to hold anything up, but it was very clear to me that that entire conversation was going sideways because everyone was looking for numbers that we didn't have. I'm personally looking for why did we pick what we picked? Why are we doing some of this? Although if everyone wants to waive the executive session, that's fine. I'll tell Karen I don't need it. I guess he sweetened the pot just to get more people to join, but
I mean, has anyone else seen this kind of thing where you're not looking to cut headcount? I mean, that's right? Like normally you want to reduce your total headcount. You do something like this to make it easier to do that, so you can fire less people, get people to leave on their own. Mm-hmm. But I've never really seen something where you're just trying to get older people to leave because you have some, not very well described skill set enhancement or whatever that you're looking at. I mean, I guess.
Well, I think we need to be careful to say older people. It could be just people with more longevity. Age is certainly not a factor in consideration. But to your point, Bill, I think that's a question that could be asked and answered in executive session of what personnel changes are you seeking to achieve?
Right.
And to your point, is it to lower headcount? I don't know the answer to that. The only thing I heard is that we're looking to modernize, which I'm absolutely not opposed to.
But they couldn't really put a finer point on what that means.
Right. So that would be very helpful.
So if you were to go into executive session on a personnel issue, can that question be asked and answered there? Because it has to do with contract negotiations.
Right.
Am I making sense or no?
Definitely.
I think that makes sense.
I mean, I don't need another meeting this week. So, again, if I screwed up and shouldn't have gone there, then I apologize.
Well, here's what I'm thinking is, I mean, did he say they need it by November? Because we have another whole round of meetings in October, don't we? I mean, could this potentially be...
They specifically asked us when Jill and I went in there with leadership to get this done because they had to start to work on the budget and they couldn't wait for the end of October vote to do that. Because they needed time to give people an opportunity to go through the package and then make a decision, and they wanted it to have an effective date of November 1st.
That's so quick.
Yeah.
Well, I, for one, am happy to have, an executive session L&A meeting. I also think we may need a special RTM meeting here. I don't know that we can turn this thing around by Monday, but I don't know.
Can we push the RTM meeting back a week? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, Karen can do whatever she wants.
Would that give us enough time?
I honestly don't know. I was surprised with the numbers that they gave us. I mean, we waited so long. We had that meeting with Brenda. We just got this packet on Friday, and I was really surprised with how thin it was. So, I mean, I hope that they can answer our questions. I just can't. I feel like it's not responsible to vote without more information.
And can we clarify why something with a dollar impact like this doesn't need to go through the Board of Finance?
It's a statute. So because what's happening right now technically is we're amending a contract, and the approval of a contract rests solely on the legislative body in the town. And because they're asking us to amend a contract that we adopted, they only need to come to us to do that. Now, there's no reason why we can't, like on that tax referral thing that we had to go through, we asked the Board of Finance to hear it, even though they didn't vote on it, and to give us their insight.
Are they having a meeting soon?
They meet on October 6th.
Oh. That seems like a good opportunity for them to just talk it through. I don't know. I just question whether Jim will be able to get the numbers. He seemed very reluctant to get any more, to flesh out the numbers anymore.
But if he has to get the votes, then he'll have to.
Could we invite the Board of Finance? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that I think we have two issues at hand. One is the issue is understanding some of the personnel things around this proposal, and the second piece is the financing of it. And in the financing of it, I think as an L&A committee, based just on our open discussion right here, there's a ton of questions that we need to devise as a committee and make sure that we send to Karen as soon as possible to get answered by Hazelkamp. And the second component is whether or not we want to hold an executive session to get questions like Bill has answered. And I
third is whether
honestly defer to all of you on what you think is the best way to do it.
I don't know. It seems like an executive. Sorry.
Go ahead.
It seems like an executive session is a good middle ground where it could enable us to flesh things out and have some of our questions answered, get more comfortable, and have it set on the same pace that they wanted, and just have the meeting on Monday.
Yeah, but that doesn't help the other members, right? That doesn't help the other, 32 members. We're just going to say to them, like, trust us. We're convinced, but we can't talk about it.
I don't think that's going to be what comes out of that, though, Josh.
What do you mean?
I think the discussion inside there is to understand the philosophy.
Then what about the questions on all the numbers? How does that get back to everybody?
That's a public. That's why I said it's twofold. I think there's two parts to the L&A committee. Well, the financial part is actually happening right now at this subcommittee. What do we want, and what are we going to ask for?
Or did we already ask for these things, and do we have to put it in writing? I mean, a lot of things were requested on the floor.
I know. I agree with you, but I'm wondering if, since we are the L&A, since we are basically, let's face it, the main leaders of the RTM right here, should we make sure as a committee we've got everything down in writing so that it gets answered?
Well, I'm sure it would be helpful to him to get one master list of questions from one source as opposed to 30 random questions. You know, incorporating everything that everybody talked about and then any additional questions that people come up with here.
Yeah, well, Karen should assemble them, right?
Yeah, I feel like we'd have to listen to the tape.
Yeah, I personally think we should be following the process we've always followed, which is you have to send your question in writing to the moderator, to the first selectwoman and the HR director. This one-off just call me impedes the ability for everybody else to hear what's going on.
All right, so here's a trial balloon. We asked Karen to request from the RTM that everyone sends her their questions, even if they were asked on the floor, just to make sure that they don't get forgotten. Everyone sends their questions to Karen. Karen assembles them and sends them to the administration. We also request set up an executive session for L&A and make it clear this is not we don't believe this should be a referral to L&A. This is just we have some questions we want to ask that are not appropriate for public.
Correct.
And we, as a third leg, perhaps request for Board of Finance to join us on Monday, or someone from Board of the Chair or somebody to come and speak to their thoughts on this matter.
On the impact of the budget.
Yeah.
I like all of that.
Me too.
And we hold in our back pockets that we could do a special RTM meeting if we had to.
Yes.
Should we ask the pension board, someone from the pension board too, to come and say how this impacts liability?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to ask somebody from the pension board and the actuary to be there. And you know what? This is almost a meeting in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the other stuff should go quickly now.
So I have a question for the minutes. So we're going to discuss this on Monday, or we're going to request a separate meeting?
I think all those points all those points that Josh just made, Drew, are what you should write down.
Yeah, I wrote those. The Monday meeting is public, right?
Yes.
The Monday meeting's our regular meeting.
Right. So I wrote down request from RTM to send questions to Karen, then to administration, not a referral to the L&A because questions are not appropriate for public discussion. Request Board of Finance to come, request pension board person to come to discuss impact on budget, actuary to come. So I was just wondering, I couldn't follow to see if we were going to discuss it at Monday's meeting because there's been so much discussion of what is appropriate to discuss in front of the public, and the Monday meeting is a public meeting.
So I was thinking that we'd have an L&A special meeting, an executive session, not in the public, to address some specific questions, not all the questions, just some specific questions that we are concerned about being kept private. And that's a separate channel than Karen gathering all other questions from all members of the RTM and submitting them to the administration for Monday.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
In the previous discussion, you said an LNA executive session would not provide the information to the other members, but we would then disseminate it to them? So are we having the executive session?
Drew, all we need an executive session for is to discuss personnel matters.
Okay.
And then, Pam and I can talk about it with the caucuses in our caucus discussions, whatever private information comes out, right? I mean, isn't that a way that we can talk to everyone about what was discussed?
I believe so, because it's then privileged information.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do with, yeah. And
right?
That's if there is something. It may be that that nothing much comes out of it. I mean, it may be that we're like, they don't really answer, who knows?
Well, if they don't, then it's
right.
hard to find a reason to do this. But I'm sure she's got a reason. So she wouldn't be doing it if she didn't have a reason. I would hope. All right.
So do we? We don't probably. I don't think we want to vote on this item, do we?
No.
Or do we?
No, I think we should just take no.
We take no action on this item, and I will send an email to Karen, with all the things I just outlined. That we're gonna set up an LNA special meeting for executive session, but we don't think it should be a referral to us. It's just we have some questions. We request that Karen puts out an email to the whole RTM asking for all questions that she will assemble and pass to the administration. We would like to ask Karen to please invite the Board of Finance and the Pension Board to Monday's meeting to speak about this item. And on the side, perhaps there's a special meeting in the future for the RTM this month if need be.
That sounds good.
I think that's a perfect summary.
Okay.
All right.
Any other business we need to do tonight?
Josh, there was one other thing I wanted to raise to you was the Board of Finance recommendations for the senior tax relief. We should have the documents, and we should review it we maybe should have done it tonight, but we should do it soon.
Can you remind me what the status of that?
It was referred to us, and then we never had a committee meeting after it was referred to us in the spring. And all the stuff happened with COVID. We didn't get our committee meetings back up, and I think that we had kind of like collectively understood that everything fiscally was just very up in the air and not sure whether we wanted to affect changes so immediately. So kind of sat on it. And now, though, to affect any changes for next application season, we need to do something.
Okay. So is that a Karen referral to us, or it's already referred to us?
It's already been referred to us.
Okay. All right.
I think it was in March.
So what do we have to do, Jill? Adopt the changes they made?
I was going to say, I honestly think it's been through so much process, and while I don't completely agree with where they came out on, it's just so vetted that it doesn't make any sense for us to really discuss it extensively at LNA. Like, I feel like any discussion should just go to the full RTM because everything's in order. Everything is. They did everything procedurally correct, and like Jim reviewed it. So
Karen just needs to put it on an agenda to send to us.
I think it has been though, but she should do it. I guess she has to do it again.
Yeah, I think.
I would do it again.
So I'll put that on my email to Karen and just say, and by the way, this was referred to us. It should probably get put on the next an agenda soon as referral to LNA.
Yeah.
Okay. Am I allowed to CC the LNA committee on this email to Karen, or I guess I'm not, right?
Yeah, you are. Just none of us can respond. None of us should respond by hitting reply all.
Right. Got it. Okay. So I'll do that. All right.
Oh, and then Josh, if we're doing this, we're going to have to, is everybody, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to wrap up, but if we're going to meet, we have to meet on Thursday. We can't meet tomorrow because we can't notice it fast enough, and then you tomorrow morning need to notice something for Thursday.
So what is the notice rule?
24 hours.
Because I just had a district meeting to vote in a new district member, and I had to give them 3 days notice.
That's different. That's charter rules.
Okay.
We actually have that written into the charter.
So I am fine to do a meeting on Thursday, but I won't be able to attend. But that's fine, because there's going to be somebody who can't attend no matter when we do it. So if that's what makes sense for people, I'm happy to do that. I guess they would have to set us up with a WebEx to do it. Does that work for pretty much everybody else?
Yeah, it works for me.
Works for me.
Sure.
So Thursday at what time? 7:30?
I'm available whenever. I can even meet during the day if it's on a WebEx, but I don't know what people's work schedules are like. I mean, I can meet at 4 o'clock. I can meet at 7. I can meet whatever you guys have.
I'm flexible as well.
Well, Karen's not on the line. I think she probably wouldn't be able to do it during the day, is my guess. Why don't we go for the standard 7 or 7:30 time frame?
Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay. So I will just email Betsy right now about that. And I will miss it, but that's okay. And anything else we should talk about?
No, just double check with Karen, and then just double check that administration is available. And although I'm sure they'll bend over backwards to make themselves available.
Yeah, that's hard to do if we need to give them. You said 24 hours notice, so we have a little time tomorrow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if we so let's say 4 o'clock did work for Karen, you just have to get it posted before 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, no matter what, you've got to get it posted by then because Betsy has got to post it, and they leave at 4:30.
Yep. All right. I'll put that call out tonight.
All right. Cool. Thanks, guys. I hope I didn't make more work.
I don't think you did.
Okay.
No, I think this
Thank
is
you,
going to be
everybody.
helpful.
Since this is recorded, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So
A
moved.
motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Said Vergara.
Yes.
Second.
Second,
Okay,
Iacono.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that was unanimous. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.